It's Mike and Jordan once again for episode 3 of MacNN's Off Topic Podcast. What a week, huh? Halo 5 came out. There's some discussion about the Vita. Let's talk about the Vita first. Nothing, absolutely nothing is in the works for first-party games on that. What that means is Sony isn't working on anything for the Vita, and it's left to third-party developers. The thing is with it is you can do the remote play on it from the PlayStation 4. It's a good media player. It's got the Sony display link so you can stream it to a television. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. And I guess I'm not certain why Sony's deciding to leave it by the side of the road to die. I don't really see an end game for it other than it just withering and no one buying it anymore, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think of what they're going to do with it at this point anyway. They seem to be abandoning everything but the PlayStation 4. I mean, Sony's gone out of its way to ditch essentially everything. So it might just be a cut our losses and move on type thing. But it strikes me as a little weird because they're still planning on releasing new colors of the Slim models.
Yeah, and they're also discussing continued support for remote play. So now all of a sudden this is just a remote play console that, I guess from a market standpoint, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's not a lot different than, if you really think about it, the Wii U is now anyway.
Yeah, we're going to give Nintendo their share under the blinding light in a few minutes here. It's sad to see. My PSP, I love my PSP. I still do. And yes, it's got that terrible mini disc format, but it doesn't take that much to make it, not require the mini disc format. We'll just leave it at that, which makes it a much more flexible console. And the Vita it's an amazingly powerful little device. Borderlands is actually pretty good on it. I've seen people do the remote play with even Destiny and things like that on it, and it's a good thing to have, but it's just Sony. Well, here's the thing. Is it a victim of Sony's market share? Is it a victim of Sony's financial situation, or just nobody gives a rat's ass?
A little bit of all, I think.
Okay.
They've already had the problems where they've had to shell out money for them due to the advertising campaign. I think they still expected it to sell as well as the PSP, which I think the PSP hit it right the exact time in the market.
I think so too.
But not in the North American market. And you have to realize the PSP just stopped selling last year.
That is true. The final incarnation ended on November 4th, I think, last year. And to very little fanfare of the departure, I guess, on that. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a shame. It's a shame. And it's just further consolidation in the gaming industry, which is not a good thing. The PlayStation brand is safe. The PlayStation 4 is doing very well. Heck, the PlayStation 4 is the only thing that's keeping Sony alive at this point.
Yeah, it seems like it some days.
So, it's just a shame to see it go, and that's all. Now let's move on to the knuckleheads at Nintendo. So, they say on Sunday, I guess it was, they said, hey, new information on our first mobile app is coming tomorrow. Aren't you all very excited? Well, it's a Miiverse chat app.
Yeah.
How is... I just brain locked because I can't even understand why they think that this is a good thing.
It feels like their heart's in the right place a little bit. Do people really use their Mii characters that much for conversing?
Well, I hear your brain locking up on it too.
It's like I get what they're doing, but at the same time, how's this really helping anyone?
How would this not have been better by saying, okay, and you and I have talked about this a little bit in the past. This is the official Apple TV Nintendo controller, and you have to buy it for $40 to play our Nintendo back catalog on the Apple TV.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's not even a console. It's just a controller. The Apple TV with the A8 is more than enough to run, I would safely say, 60% to 70% of Nintendo's back catalog. I just don't get it. I don't understand why they feel that they can afford the lost leader on hardware anymore.
And I think with the NX, they're going to be moving away from that entirely.
Well, I'm concerned about the NX, given this whole Miiverse app. They say, oh, let's get excited about the new app. Wah, wah. So the NX is going to be what? The NX is going to be a 1.1 gigahertz processor?
I think the difference is, and of course, most of this is speculation.
Well, all of this is speculation.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Mii Tomo, or app, whatever they're really calling it,
Mm.
We don't really know much about it. It's other than it being some kind of chat program. It could be a gateway to other things.
And don't forget your Nintendo account.
Yeah.
It's,
But my point is, I'm pretty sold on the idea that the NX is moving away from the idea of a traditional home console, because the Wii U just doesn't put up the numbers to sustain it. I mean, they had to stop selling the Wii like well before it seemed like they planned to.
yeah, they had that little mini Wii for a while there, and I'm not even sure that's still for sale. Here's the thing. The new Mario Kart game is the most critically acclaimed Mario Kart there is, and it's viewed as widely successful. They say that the sell-through rate on the Wii U is 90%, which is an astounding number. But the problem is the actual number sold is the lowest in the entire franchise's history.
Yeah, and that just breaks down to console saturation, and then the idea that it's split not only between, it's not just one console, that's sales across the Wii U and the 3DS.
Right. That's right.
Which is kind of sad too, because then you have games like Splatoon that are actually really cool, and most people won't ever experience it.
I do not understand what they're doing here. And people can say, well, it's a Japanese market. Well, you know, the Japanese have smartphones too.
Yeah, and that's what ultimately led to the death of things like the PSP.
So I do not understand this market move at all. And every time Nintendo opens their mouth, they're doing something to antagonize the user base, or they're doing something to make sure that they don't grow their business. Do they think that it's 1998 still?
Strategically, it's such a weird move too, because this is a company that doesn't lay anyone off, like, ever. What, 2 years ago, they finally shut a studio down?
Yeah. I just don't understand how this is going to keep their finances afloat. You know what? Sure, you don't want to pollute your brand by having it everywhere. Fine, I get that. But how many more smartphones are sold per year than Nintendo's?
Yeah, but that's why, leading back to the NX, that's what I think they're going to go for. It's a console that's going to be portable, maybe a little more robust than the 3DS is, but I think it's going to replace both.
I hope so. They're gonna have to pull a serious rabbit out of their hat.
Plus, the company's been looking to diversify for a while. That's what the Amiibo push is. That's another area for them. And if they get smart and hop on the licensing train, or maybe shell out some movies, you know.
Oh yeah, like the Super Mario Brothers movie was such a winner.
But in this era, I mean, for something pre-established, you're gonna get something better, because most things that go through Hollywood aren't original.
I love me some Nintendo. I mean, Mario Kart is fantastic.
I mean,
if you haven't murdered your buddies in the old Mario Kart battle mode, you're missing out. You can say that, well, you're not Nintendo and yours is not to understand. But the thing is, as a consumer, you need to feel like this console you're buying is still going to be sold in 6 months.
You can still buy, shares of the company in roundabout ways, I guess, technically these days. But they still have people to answer to. So they have to answer these kind of questions eventually.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why they're being given a pass by their shareholders. I don't understand why the board isn't saying, well, we have to adopt smartphones. We have to adopt tablets. I just don't. I can't even see the logic in not doing it. You're opening up your intellectual property to a market 100 times larger than your console sales. 100 times. And say 1%. 1% of those people buy a ported title. That's free money.
Yep.
That's literally free money for a company that cannot afford to lose anymore.
And that's what's so crazy to me, because it seems like traditional publishers these days are making just so much extra money for bringing back the old games and slapping them on PC. You have these old games that they have issues running on new computers, but the minimal amount of time they'd spend fixing that is well worth selling 10 copies, it seems like.
That is GOG. That is the whole reason why Good Old Games exists. Is for wine wrappers and DOSBox implementations of old games.
Well, besides their now stellar actual studio.
Well, yeah, but it's not GOG Studio. I mean, yes, I understand that The Witcher comes from the same people, but it's not the same people doing the porting that are doing The Witcher. It's the same company, I get that, and that's fine. But what was the tumult? People went berserk when the X-Wing games are available again on GOG. They went insane. And how many? We don't have no idea how many of these they sold. but it's not zero. It's just I just don't get it. I don't understand why you'd want to say I don't know. And I cannot say this enough. I cannot understand why you'd say, well, this is Mario and you can't have it. You can't play it the way you want to. We're going to make you buy it again on the NX. But I just don't.
I was just saying, but all those Tetris copies.
Oh man, yeah, right. Tetris everywhere, right? Tetris on the frickin' TI 99. I just, man. It's Sony and Nintendo in the same week. It's like the apocalypse. I swear.
Feels like it some days.
Ugh.
The whole industry just wants to collapse.
Man. So, anyway, apologies if there's any kind of sound problem this episode. The neighbors across the street are having a raucous party today, which I was invited to, but I chose to share it with Jordan and our listening audience today. So, let's Halo 5. Can we talk about Halo 5 for a minute? I don't know if you played it, Jordan.
No, I saw one of the Xbox at GameStop today.
Yeah, I really want to like this game. I've always liked the universe. I like our colleague Malcolm calls games like this space assholes.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. Halo 5 starts literally in the middle of two different missions from two different Spartan teams. And Halo has always had Marines, right? But you don't really care that much about them. You keep one alive so he can gun and you can drive in single player or something like that. But that's about it, right?
Kind of like the Colonial Marines and the Aliens and Predator versus.
Yeah. But the squad-based mechanics in Halo 5 aren't working for me. The only way this game has worked for me is grabbing three of my other dudes and saying, all right, let's form up and let's do this. But the AI just doesn't work for me. It just does not. The multiplayer is good, but the thing is while I was playing multiplayer the other day in Halo 5, I kept on thinking, gee, I wonder what Zora is selling in Destiny today. And we talked about this the other day. I said I was buying Halo 5 because I care about the Chief, right? The marketing campaign has got nothing to do with the game. Nothing. Well, that's not fair. It has very little to do with the game. The soundtrack is radically improved over the techno pop from Halo 4. They've gone back to the Master Chief's theme. Think the monks, right? The gameplay is solid, but uninspired. I played the hell out of every Halo game up until Halo 4. Halo 4 did not grab me. It just didn't feel Spartan-y enough anymore.
Some people are kind of chalking it up to like it's the Halo 2 situation.
Well, there are amazing parallels to Halo 2 and Halo 5. Halo 5 just kind of goes, and then this happens, and oh god, oh wait, roll the credits. I'm not going to talk about the spoilers here.
Not to mention the whole head pounding against the desk.
Yeah.
Yes, let's have the most impossible things to do ever.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, right? I mean, you've got the stereotypical bad guy weak spot in the back. But the way that the squad mechanics work in single player, it is nearly impossible to shoot this asshole in the back. So,
but and think of it this way too. It's the Halos have been kind of taking damage over time. If you think you have the studio Bungie separated with Reach. Yeah, 343 that's trying to do something new with Halo 4, but it doesn't feel the same. 5, they try and do something else. Still isn't feeling the same.
But you know what? I can draw a line between the plot in Halo 4 and the plot in Halo 5. There is that line to be drawn. And what I'm starting to have issues with is games like in Destiny and Halo where they say, like in video game manuals from like 1983, turn to page 27 and read paragraph 45. If I want to play a goddamn choose-your-own-adventure game, I would. This is text. Why are you not putting this in a loading screen? Why are you not putting this? I just don't get it. It's another design decision. I don't understand having lore offline.
I'm starting to think that games like Doom have really set a bad precedent.
You're a space asshole. Go blast the bad space asshole.
They killed my rabbit.
Yeah, right?
Revenge. Right?
Yeah. The Halo 5 universe has been curated for a long time. There have been Halo Bibles. There have been Frankie O'Connor has been the steward of the universe forever, right?
Yeah.
You can see that there's an internal consistency, and that is so good. I love the fact there's an internal consistency in these games.
Well, that's also, in part because they're developing everything for it, or
Yeah.
they're walking the other people through the process. I mean, you had Bear doing the books for a while.
Yep.
Just one of the authors has worked in the series. You've had them working closely with Dark Horse to put out several very good, well put together short runs.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't, honestly, I have a couple of the issues of the Marvel stuff before they switched to Dark Horse, and I haven't read those. But
I'm perfectly fine with this kind of universe expansion. But how many people are jumping into the Halo storyline and just going, "What in the hell just happened?"
Well, you can kind of say that started happening around 3. Why am I in this jungle? What is going on?
Yeah, I understand that, but hey, you could draw a line without having to infer anything. You could easily say, okay, well, this is happening right at the end of Halo 2. You cannot say that between Halo 4 and Halo 5.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't say it. You can draw a straight line because of the fiction. You can draw a straight line because of the additional materials that 343 has put together. This is why we don't review games with a number.
It's contextual. I mean, you can't tell everything in these kind of reviews anyway.
Yeah, the multiplayer is solid, but
it's still not without issues.
It needs balancing. The guns need balancing. The Warzone, and there's matchmaking issues again.
Everything in the Warzones I've heard is pretty much terrible.
So I think that can be dialed in though. I played enough Warzone to say that this has potential. It just needs to be fixed.
I'd say it's pretty much lopsided every time, isn't it?
Yeah, and it can be dialed in though. I don't have a problem with that. There's nothing specifically wrong with lopsided. It just needs to be dialed in a little bit more. The card system bugs me a little bit, but I think I could adjust to it. I don't think I'd have a problem with it. The traditional Halo gameplay in other modes is solid and sound. They've taken a lot from newer shooters like Titanfall. But maybe that's the problem. When Halo 1 and Halo 2 and Halo 3 shipped, there was nothing else like it. It played so smoothly and so solidly, and everything worked out well. And this is not rose-colored glasses. Halo 2, for its time, did very well. It's not a very good game now. Okay, and I warned everybody about this before. I told everyone, just be careful what you wish for. Halo 2 will not stand up. And it didn't. The Halo 2 models did not stand up in the Master Chief Collection. They just weren't played. And they weren't entertaining, and people understood that finally after they had to see it for themselves, I suppose.
That's a whole nother can of worms, though.
Yeah, that's something else. But for their times, Halos 1, 2, and 3, and ODST for that matter,
I still think ODST is some of the best they've done.
I think ODST is the best they did. I think that is absolutely start to finish. Everything about that experience was the best thing about Halo.
It was that having that human element to it was such like a great touch. Because a lot of other shooters, it's like, oh, humanity, blah blah blah, but you don't really feel human. You still like the superhuman guy that just carries 20 guns and mows everyone down.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've got no problem with giving the Covenant back their bomb. I've got no problem with that. But yeah, ODST was fantastic, and that is worth the price of the Master Chief Collection. I played Master Chief Collection from day one, so I got it for free. As a gee, we're really sorry, but it's worth the in-app purchase. By itself, it is worth the in-app.
Or
purchase.
if you have a.
Or yeah, for instance, if you have a 360.
Just sitting around.
Yeah.
But remember, you still have to own Halo 3.
Here's the thing, I cannot recommend Halo 5 as a purchase right now, and it physically hurt my chest to say that.
At the same time, though, that's hard. It's hard to recommend any game as a relatively early purchase anymore.
Yeah, that can be argued too. Yeah, but it's just I want to love it so bad. There are aspects of the game I say, well, that's kind of cool. I am so sorry, Jessica. I just I cannot recommend this game right now. I can't.
And that's the thing. I look at, because I'm very late adopter to the PS4 at this point, but I keep thinking in the back of my head, it's like, an Xbox One would be nice. If there's a game that was going to seal it, it was going to be Halo 5.
It's not it.
And
I'm telling you.
I looked at the console. I'm like, man, that's a snazzy looking console.
It is. Oh yeah, it's a slick console.
Because I like buying. I got the Halo, the Reach 360 one. I got my Destiny PS4 one.
Yeah.
You know, I try to grab those limited ones because I like the aesthetics of them a little more. Or you can at least find one that's a hell of a lot better than a baseline. But I'm like, oh, this will be the game that finally does it. And I read everything about it. And I'm like, nope.
I am a Halo fan. I really am. I was there at the Macworld keynote when they played the footage. I was watching so excitedly when when the demo brought out his anti-son of a bitch stick for the Halo 2 demo. I was there all the way. Day one purchases, every single title. I can't do it again. I'm not doing the next Halo title. I'm not doing day one. I'm gonna wait.
You know, and then here's the other side of that. It's as much as we like this series, how much of that is just consumer experiences at this point too, and limited time for that matter.
Yeah, I just put my finger on it. You know what it is? Is Halo is not Halo. Halo is Call of Titanfall. It's no different anymore than a sci-fi universe. It's no different. It's not any different than any of the shooters anymore.
Nope, that's just the way it goes. If they ever move to a yearly release, then there you go.
And that's really sad. I I've met several of the people in the studio, and so have you.
Yep.
You've spent a couple of days working with them in the past.
Yep. That's why it hurts even more. It's like I know they're trying to put together a good product that fills the story, that fleshes out the world and gives people what they want. But when you have these missed opportunities and these parts that don't make a lot of sense, at least to us on our side, maybe to them makes perfect sense.
You do have a tendency, in my own experience, you do have a tendency to kind of stick your own head up your butt with stuff that you assume everyone knows the same things you do.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And I do think that there are moments in Halo 5 that's exactly that. I think that where we've got the story Bible and you don't, and we know what we're talking about, so just deal with it.
But that goes back to them splitting it up between so many other different properties and other media. It's another thing where if you want to live in these worlds, you have to consume all of it.
I'm going to say I've consumed 75 to 80% of it, which probably puts me in the top 5%. But that's the problem. If I'm in the top 5% at 75 or 80, what the hell is going on with the other 90% of the people who bought this game because they played Reach or bought Halo 4 at GameStop? What are these people doing? The game doesn't, just because it's like the 7th game in the series, doesn't mean it doesn't need to be accessible. It doesn't mean it doesn't need to be followed.
Yeah, it's just so many changes that have been taking place in the series. I don't know. Because you have the separation, obviously the Bungie separation, things start to change.
I know what it is. It's we got it. Bungie doesn't have it anymore. The whole human covenant thing is played out. Pro tip: it's not. So let's do the Prometheans. Let's do the Didact. Let's do all of these things, and they didn't need to. They just didn't need to.
Well, I get why. I mean, if you're fighting the same thing constantly, you're going to get bored. Just if you're trying to follow the world and do it according to them, you don't need many enemies if you think about it. But if you want to keep people interested, you have to give them something new. You have to give them something different to fight for.
I went into Halo 5 blind. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't read anything. I played the game, and I said, Jesus Christ, am I alone in this? And the thing is, then I stuck my head out and said, no, I'm not. And that's just not. I mean, I am not the outlying voice here. I wish I was. Because I think this is going to be a problem. I think this is going to be a problem for the series in the long run.
It'd be nice if they can fix it. It's hard to imagine how you really fix something once it's launched, though. I guess you can pull it back, but when there's physical copies out there, it's a little harder.
Yeah. I mean, it's not getting pulled back. This is Halo 5, whether you like it or not. This is what it is. This is what you got.
After we're just now getting Batman Arkham Knight back.
Yeah. And what, the reviews before were pre-release reviews for a while there? That's kind of crap.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the original point. I want 343 to succeed. I love the Halo universe. I do. Spartans are cool. You know, but we don't even know why Buck is a Spartan. He just is.
Maybe future threads to unravel.
Maybe.
Maybe there's a book coming.
Maybe there already is, and I just don't know it. I mean, that's part of the problem. Anyway, now that I've completely bummed myself out about how Halo 5 isn't for me, you know, I mean, MLG I am not, right? So maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, you have a huge shift in, single to multiplayers, and there's always this focus on it, but I don't know if that's the greatest leg to stand on after Master Chief Collection.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, Master Chief Collection, I've got it. I've played all the campaign levels. Still love 90% of the campaign levels. Hell, I even love the library. I do. I've got my assault rifle. I got my pistol. Let's go. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it's that kind of experience for me. There's nothing in Halo 5 that I want to go back and replay.
And who knows? I mean, later on, if they piece it all together, it might be worth readdressing, but who can say how that's going to change in 5-10 years?
Yeah, I don't know. I want to like it. I really want to like it, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to force myself to play it again, and the whole time through, I'm going to be thinking about farming engrams in Destiny, and I know it.
I need some strange coins.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. That's sad. Anyway.
I got my rabbit banner in Destiny. I'm good. I don't care. Whatever else happens.
You're set. You got your jade rabbit. You're good to go.
Just die repeatedly. Otherwise, it's like, that's cool.
I'm good. Got the bunny. Let's rock. Ash versus Evil Dead. Have you seen it?
No, because I was out doing things today.
Oh, that's so tragic.
Yeah.
For those of you not in the know, I don't even know how long the series is. Is this a full-on order?
10 episodes.
10 episodes. Ash vs. Evil Dead started tonight, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is Ash versus the Evil Dead. Again, and with Bruce Campbell.
It's on.
I mean, it's
on my list of things to do before I fall asleep.
the guy's like 10 million years old, and he's still doing stuff like this. How can you argue with that? Go watch it. I had a good time. It was a good laugh. It's the Evil Dead. How can you go wrong?
But it retains the comedic appeal from everything I've read.
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you're used to your gravitas in The Walking Dead, you're not going to get here.
Yay, horror movies with comedy again.
I know, right? I mean, yeah.
It's like something I keep looking forward to is the idea of a second Tucker and Dale versus Evil as well.
Is that even coming?
I know they've always mumbled about it, but man, that first one was hilarious.
They've mumbled about it. Yeah, what did they just say? They said that Alien 5 has been pushed back by Prometheus 2 pre-production. Come on. Really?
Every time I think of that one scene in that movie where the pillars are falling, or whatever the hell it was falling, I keep drawing a diagram in my head. It's like, do we not get how this works? As a tall falling thing is going in the same direction of you, you have options: left, right, straight,
or run in the direction of the fall. Yeah.
Why would you continue to go the way it's going to hit you?
That's how it always is. They always do. Yeah, I don't. Prometheus is something else I really wanted to like because the high concept was cool, but then I just kind of said, what? Yeah.
I didn't hate it as much as everybody panned. It got, just from fans, it got shit on, basically.
Well, it wasn't, the fans shat on it because it wasn't Alien Zero.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it not being Alien Zero. I had no problem, with the bone-breaking python thing. I didn't have any problems with it. The movie was reasonably entertaining. There's some questionable movie-making choices, but,
If you wouldn't have set the idea that was an Aliens movie,
yes,
it wouldn't. People wouldn't have hated it as much.
That's exactly it. If you didn't nod and wink and say, "Yeah, these are where the aliens came from," nod, huh? Yeah, you're right, and that would have gone totally different.
And I remember watching that in theaters, and I was just scratching my head the whole time, like, "Where's the Geiger stuff? Where's Where's
dead, isn't
where's
he?
the cool design elements that we got from the first couple movies?
That dude died like 5 years ago, didn't he? He must have.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
You know what I mean, though? But his design went hand in hand with those films.
Yeah.
So it was weird to see like slightly futuristic stuff, and you're like, what the hell? I don't get this.
Alien 1 and 2 and Heavy Metal Magazine. Well, the Blomkamp work for Alien 5 looks impressive. The pre-production stuff that has been shown to us. You know what? I'm perfectly fine with them ignoring Alien 3 and 4. I have no problem with Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection getting blown off. I got no problem.
But why do you do that? It's if you're going to retcon something, just do it entirely. Why have it's and maybe this is part of human nature. It's revisionist history.
Yeah, I mean, Alien 3 went through development hell, and I'm not even going to go through it here, but you can look up the Wikipedia and see what kind of garbage Alien 3 went through from start to finish. And Alien Resurrection, I think, was an example of a movie studio having too much money and saying, well, you know what we can do? Let's get Sigourney Weaver on board with Winona Ryder and see what we can crank out, And that big guy who's been in all those things, yeah, that guy too. I just didn't see the point. And then she's swimming in the sea of aliens, and
we have 50 million. How can we waste it? We only really needed 2.
How can we waste it? Well, yeah. Speaking of which, the Steve Jobs movie they're talking about. Well, we didn't make this to make money. Yeah, that's a load of crap.
I'm pretty sure all movies are made to. Well, actually. I think the idea is always to make money, but sometimes you just make one to hold on to the rights.
Well, yes, that is true. I mean, that was the Fantastic Four, yeah.
Not just once, multiple times.
Fantastic Four in the He-Man movie with Dolph Lundgren, I think. It's the same thing.
Oh, that was so bad.
It was terrible. It was really terrible. Boy. There's just so much going on, it's all swirling in my head, and I can't quite pull it out.
Anger.
It's not even
anger at media.
It's disappointment. It's disappointment because it's almost to a point where they've gotten better at movies, and video games have gotten better at the pre-game build-up and the PR than the actual delivery of a finished quality product.
Okay, on that note, yeah, I can totally see that, because we're starting to get to a point where games are capture a better storyline in the same allotted time a movie would have. Not just because of what it's telling, but because of the audience participation.
Yeah.
So, kind of related point, my wife has been playing the newest Tales game, Tales of Zestiria. And there's an option in there that it will just fight all of the battles for you.
What?
Yes.
Really?
So you could just enjoy the story.
Okay.
And I can understand like a battle assist mode or something like that, but when you get to that point, and these aren't short games, it's not like you're spending 10 hours on it. But it's a cool idea that you're getting this experience, front to end, and you don't really have to do anything. But what's that also say to the culture we've created by Let's Plays?
Yeah, Let's Plays are an interesting thing. They're not for me. They just aren't. But how many people have learned how to play games watching over somebody else's shoulder anyway? It is a logical extension of the gamer culture.
But look at it this way, though. And I think this is a lot of the points that industry makes. So you've streamed this game because you're slightly interested about it. You've watched somebody, play all 20 hours of it. What's your incentive to buy it anymore?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the argument. I mean, it's not like it's piracy, but it's one of those gray area items that you're giving someone the experience of the game without them ever purchasing it. It's not too far off the mark of lending someone, your Sonic the Hedgehog 2 cartridge or something, though, if you really think about it.
With the save already on there, right?
It's within that wheelhouse. So I can see how it's still right. I don't have a problem with it, but I can understand why we've moved that way as a culture.
Yeah, I can too. The average age of the gamer is creeping up. If you look at the demographics over the last 15 years, I mean, it's not a 1-for-1 year progression, but it's like what, 34.5 years old is the average gamer now.
Yeah,
and
it's everybody that grew up with the Nintendo is still playing.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I have said before that you're going to have to pry my consoles out of my hand when I'm dead, and that's perfectly fine.
We're not playing professional League of Legends 15 hours a day, but
yeah, let me get the IV bag. I'll just sit here and try and figure out that damn
10
thing.
years ago.
you totally be on that.
It's like just hook it up. Let's go.
Well, I definitely know I'm slower than I was. I used to play Unreal Tournament. I guess it's now Unreal Tournament Classic. But I used to play Unreal Tournament every Saturday and Sunday, and I was a killer of men in that game. But yeah, I'm old and slow.
No,
now.
It's like I would play Quake and Quake 2 for hours.
And you know what? Maybe that's part of my problem with Halo 5. Maybe the problem is that the game's not for me anymore. Maybe that's what it is. But I think I enjoyed multiplayer more than I enjoyed the single player campaign.
And that's what a lot of these games are aiming for. Why do you think Call of Duty's campaigns have gone to negative hours at this point?
Yeah, they actually draw campaigns away from other games.
It's like, here's the story on this sheet of paper.
Well, that said, the Earth Defense Force games with the giant insects, I've had so much fun with those games co-op in the past. So yeah, I know, right?
They're so awkward, but so funny.
Yeah, clipping through everything, but damn, if firing rockets into a crowd of bugs isn't fun.
Blow everything up.
Yeah, and you know what? This particularly disgruntled episode of Off Topic, we're gonna wrap that up. Next week looks like it's gonna be a Doctor Who episode. We'll be talking with William Gallagher, who has written Big Finish audio stories, and we'll be discussing the season so far. So whether or not Jordan participates much in that episode, I really don't know. I guess we'll find out.
I haven't watched anything this season.
Well, that's something we do have to discuss. The flavor of this season's Doctor Who is totally different, and maybe it's more old guy Doctor Who than it's ever been.
Uh-oh.
So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, you got nothing, right? Yeah. So maybe you get next week off, man.
It's like old guy Doctor Who. When was it young guy Doctor Who?
Oh man, I tell you what, I've seen pictures from the conventions when Matt Smith was in the middle of his tenure. The average age, I swear to God, is 13.5 squealing teenage girl. So, which, if you had told me a decade ago that Doctor Who was going to attract 13.5-year-old squealing teenage girls, I would have said, "Are you high?" Anyway, that's it, folks. We will talk to you next Sunday.
See you, folks.